Yesterday, this woman left this comment on my YouTube page. She said, Burb, your channel has helped me find the strength to leave my abusive spouse. It's been hard, but at least now there's glimmers of hope to look forward to the future, and even the hard days are 1,000 times better without him. And then I was like, that's amazing. If you have a story time, let me know. I do not know if that commenter made this story time, but this story time was posted in my BurbNBougie subreddit. Could be the same person, might not be. Regardless, I know that this community is helping women see that they do not have to take that tolerable level of permanent unhappiness. Women can do things, create and execute a plan to leave these unhappy relationships. So, this is titled, I'm Divorcing My Husband, and Here's Why. She says, Hey everyone, I've been a fan on YouTube for a while and made this account just to post this here. Sorry for mistakes. Reddit's a little new to me. I'm going to keep things a little on the vague side because I don't want to risk him somehow coming across this and finding out it was me. I'm going to divorce my husband and I'm going to tell you all why. Number one, we've only been married a few years, but these have already been so difficult. His mother is not a fan of me, and she's made that incredibly clear. Instead of standing up to her when she has badmouthed me, he would join in on it. That should have been my first clue, but I wrote it off because they told me they were just joking and I was being too sensitive. Number two, he has anger issues, yelling, throwing things, the works. He's never hit me himself, but that's not an endorsement of him. Things he's thrown have grazed me before. Just because he hasn't outright punched me doesn't mean he hasn't indirectly harmed me, and I consider that bad enough. Number three, he's a slob. I'm constantly having to pick up after him, clean up messes he makes around the apartment. This morning, y'all be prepared. This is gross. This is gross. This is gross. This morning, I went into his bathroom. We have separate to grab something, and there was poop on the floor, literal poop. I spent an hour scrubbing and sanitizing his entire bathroom floor, trying to get all the poop out. I still have work to do in there too, because his sink hasn't been cleaned in months and it looks like there's actual mold growing. I've had to scrub poop out of his underwear. If he cooks for himself, he makes a huge mess in the kitchen and doesn't clean up anything. He rarely follows through on anything I beg him to do, even the bare minimum chores. I don't know how men can live like this. Like you poop on the floor and you can just leave that there. How do these humans live like this? Ooh, okay. Number four, he's not a provider. That was the arrangement we agreed on. I'm not able to hold a typical job due to severe health complications. I do have income, though, through freelance work I'm establishing, but it's not livable yet. And he has a good paying job. So it was agreed that he'd work and I'd handle the majority of the household duties. I didn't mind. I like housework, but he's not paying for I had to cover all our moving costs, rent more than once, groceries, utilities, laundry machine costs, coin operated apartment washer. And it struck me as weird that I'm having to cover so much despite him being the one employed. I just found out why the other day. He spent hundreds of dollars on video games, at least 500. That's money we really need and could have gone towards rent or necessities. I'm not faulting him for having hobbies, leisure activities. I spend money on my own, but not that much, not even a fifth that much. I'm very careful to budget out expenses, even more so because I know how tight on money we are, which I now know is because he's spending so much. I'm so exhausted and I feel sick all the time. I feel so angry every time I look at him. I'm constantly on edge. I think my body is screaming at me that I need to get out. So that's what I'm working on. It's going to take a little time. The cost of living is no joke and I need to save up, but I'm laying plans. I can't believe I put up with this so long. I can't believe I kept making excuses. And even now, after writing all this, I have the urge to say, but he's not all bad, guys, and backtrack as though he deserves it, as though he hasn't worn me down and used me. He tells me he loves me constantly, but honestly, I think he just loves the idea of me. He likes having a wife, someone to clean up after him and be his emotional regulator, but not actually me. I don't know what I'm hoping to accomplish with this post aside from just putting this out into the universe and setting it in stone. And maybe also warning to the other women out there, don't put up with this. The toll on you, your health, and your peace isn't worth it. Also, don't don't clean up poop after a man. If a man is a poopy butt and pooping on the floor, that should also be your red flag to leave. Please keep your fingers crossed for me that I'm able to sort out my own financial stuff and run soon. I'll take all the good vibes and prayers I can get. This thing's in motion and I'm not turning back. I'm not going to continue existing like this. I deserve better. As soon as I have enough to pay for a new place of my own, I'm out the door. I'm sure he'll be blindsided when he gets the papers. Sucks to be him. I saw this as I was scrolling the BurbNBougie subreddit, and I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm doing this because she typed it up for us. But I'm doing this because I also want to put that pressure, just a little bit more pressure that, yes, you need to leave. I'm saying these words out loud for you to hear that, yes, you need to leave. You are deserving of more. You deserve anybody in this situation deserves better than this type of treatment. I don't know what it's going to take for all of us to know this, but this is the reason why I do these videos daily, so that we can deprogram the need to be a martyr, to self-sacrifice, to be the servant that society has indoctrinated into us. Okay, so Faustin says, he sounds like a nightmare, and I hope you can get out of this situation soon. It seems like he only sees you as his wife appliance, and you deserve so much more than that. I would advise you to avoid X if you can, because the last thing you need is to be baby trapped by the man child, or perhaps get on long-term birth control if you aren't already, IUD or arm plant. Good luck to you. Ladies, make sure you're on long-term birth control. The OP says, I have an IUD, and actually, X isn't even a problem. We are rarely intimate, and that's another nail, too. Didn't want to include it in the main post because it's not really a flaw on his part, but our drives are on different levels and not compatible. Not worried about getting baby trapped when he doesn't even want to do the baby making activities in the first place. Thanks for the luck. I'll definitely take it. And Fawcett says, I'm glad to hear you're okay on that front. Wishing you all the best as you plan your next moves. But I'm glad that Fawcett brought this up so that we could talk about it in general for the other ladies that might be watching. Please get on long-term birth control. Do not get baby trapped. Baby trapped anchors you to these MFers. If you're not wanting to even be in a relationship, do not get anchored to these MFers. Raina says, why did you write it down? Because once you see it written down in letters, you can grasp it. You can manifest it. It's the first step in every journey. It's the first step in every journey starts with the first step. I hope it's your journey to find the way back to yourself and your inner happiness. You can do this. I'm so glad for the community that we're building, the support. The OP says, yeah, I think it was a huge part of it, just being able to write it down and read it back, kind of proving it to myself, if that makes sense. Thanks for the good wishes. I'll definitely accept all the good vibes right now. Dry Training says, sending you favor. The most detestable thing about this is that he took a dump, got it on the floor and didn't clean it up. And now you're on your hands and knees scrubbing up his poop. Yes. For me, that was definitely the most detestable and gross part of this whole situation. And you know what? I think it takes some of these things that are very just so gross that it's just like you can't get past it. It sticks in your brain. You think about poop when you think of him. And I think that will help move forward. When you think about poop, you think of him. they're together. They're the same level. I'm going to leave that there. Go ahead. Let me know what you think of this conversation. If you have any cautionary tales or stories, you can bring it over to the BurbNBougie subreddit and make your post there. All right. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Purposely left off the name of this subreddit because they accused the BurbNBougie group of going over to their post and brigading their subreddit. And I don't want that. but we are going to talk about this post. These people are the types of people that act like, if you do the traditional stuff, if you are feminine enough, if you do your role enough, you could really keep your man. You got to do your part in the femininity role. You got to take care of your man, and then he's going to take care of you and be that wonderful protector and provider. So this person is seeing that she's getting shafted. She has fallen for the okey doke, and she's seeing that it is not amazing. So she titles this Finances with the Baby. She says, my husband, who's 30, and she's 24, are expecting our first child. While dating, he made it clear that he wanted to have a traditional family where his wife stays home with the baby and he provides. He got me occasional flowers and snacks and a thoughtful birthday gift, paid for dates. After moving in together, I paid for the cleaning items like toilet paper, food. Food was purchased separately as well as flights and trips. He owned his house and can get utilities covered by his company, so that's free for both of us. I thought we were on the same page. The current situation has been fine so far because I work full time and love my job. We got pregnant unplanned after the wedding while we both wanted to wait at least 2 years before having a baby. But since we're Christians, there was no question about keeping it or not. We used a condom and a lube that shouldn't be used with condoms, which is how it happened. Now, my issue is that he expects me to keep the current financial agreement even after birth. I don't have that much savings since I had to pay off my small student loan first and only finished college 2 years ago, so I barely have anything saved up. It's $10,000 to be exact. He expects me to use it till it's used up. We don't have any joined cards or something like that. After taxes, he earns $180,000 and I earn 40K. Since I'm having a difficult pregnancy and complications, we share the chores so that I do about 70% and he does 30%. Before that, it was more like 90% and 10%. I tried telling him that I won't have an income after delivery, but he says he doesn't want to pay everything as it would make me a gold digger, which made me feel hurt and sad as I never asked him to spend anything on me and it was always easy going, but now it feels unfair. I would feel more comfortable if I could keep my savings and stop contributing, not because I don't want to, but because I just can't go back to work either, as he wants me to stay home for at least 3 to 5 years. I'm also worried about affording things for myself, like nursing wear or books. This trad wife stuff can be such a trap. And she's already feeling it. She had enough sense to clock it early. But if she uses up her money, that means that she could be controlled completely. She could completely be controlled. That's what he's trying to do, get her to whittle down her money, and then he will be in complete control of everything. And these people are not savable. They're not. They are lost in the sauce. They believe in these talking points like the man is supposed to lead. And I'm not saying that some of these comments don't have some common sense, but these people that believe in the traditional role, they believe that the man is supposed to lead. But he is already reneging on his part of the equation if he really wants to be a traditional relationship in a traditional marriage. The man is supposed to earn, and her money is supposed to be her money. But he's done the bait and switch. He has done the bait and switch on this woman, and he is already changing the terms and conditions on what it means to be in a traditional marriage. Renewed Blush says, I'm interested to see the other replies here, but personally, I'm nervous for you reading this due to the age difference and the gold digger comment, which seems to have no basis in reality. I would not be a girl's girl if I didn't admit that raises some red flags for me. It's odd to me that a man would want a traditional household but not actually want to provide. To be clear, it seems like he's expecting a 50-50 arrangement despite wanting you to not have an income. She says, edit, I get why people keep saying the age difference isn't a big deal. I would normally agree, but I'm speaking in the context of everything else the OP has shared, especially since she is just 24. She's just now, getting out of college. Her frontal lobe isn't completely formed. And this is why men want these women at this particular age. so they can mold the woman to their standards, even if their standards make no sense. Because how is she a gold digger when he said he wanted the traditional type of marriage? This person says the age difference is negligible and irrelevant. FYI, the situation is absurd simply because she won't have an income and he is expecting her to pay for things, especially considering the type of wages he makes. The man should be ashamed of himself for putting this much burden on his pregnant wife, expenses plus chores. And Renewed Blush says, personally, I see the age difference as potentially problematic given the other factors here. To me, the husband is moving in the direction of wanting to leave her without funds and without options. And then the OP says, not 50-50, but more like 70-30. Yes. And there she's talking about the split of how things should be paid, which makes no sense. Y'all, if you want to buy into the whole traditional marriage and all of that, fine. But you can't be paying for bills and you don't have an income. That doesn't make any sense. Renewed Blush says, well, I'll let the other women in the group give you advice as I've never been married. But personally, I think his reaction is pretty immature. You're not a gold digger. You're his wife and the mother of his child. And then Sukami, LOL, honed in on the part where she said, you're his wife and the mother of his child, saying, yeah, it's a bit late to worry about her being a gold digger. If she was, that game is already won. Either way, very worried about the request for her to quit her job and use up all of her savings before he was supposed to pay the bills. That feels awfully like a setup for abuse by leaving her less options to get away and to be fully dependent on him. Y'all, let me tell you, I did not read the comments. I just took some screenshots. So I am very glad that they are giving her this advice and being sensible. I am very glad for that. Okay, towards the bottom, Jennyappolis says, does he say what his plans are for when you burn through the $10,000 and have nothing? Does he plan to take over then? And she says, yes, but not for me to have unreadable expenses like stuff for hobbies. I love painting. And, that kind of, you have to keep buying paint, but the cost of that is around $30 a month. So she wants to have hobbies. And that makes sense, because why do you want to have a life where you have absolutely no free time and no extra spending money? I am not going to lie. I am really happy about these comments to this woman. Dion says, please continue painting. Don't diminish your light because you'll only have less time when the baby comes. Being yourself is important. I am so glad that women are saying this to her. And Picking Flower says, hey girl, asking you to burn through all your savings is absolutely a garbage suggestion on his part. I'm curious how he expects you to pay for things for yourself or your child without savings or an income. You can't, because it's silly to do all this. Anyways, y'all, I'm going to wrap it up here. I am pleasantly surprised about the comments, and I hope that this woman really takes this stuff into consideration and doesn't completely quit her job. I hope that she just goes on maternity leave and goes back to work, because she's going to set herself up for the okie doke, especially being 24 years old, basically just out of college, and then stopping her career trajectory before she even starts, for a man who is letting her know that he is going to hold money over her head. He is a control freak early, and at least she can see it right now. All right, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And if you know where I posted this from, please don't run over there and say BurbNBougie sent you, because I absolutely did. So this was posted in the BurbNBougie subreddit. She says, what do fathers gain from prioritizing their new partners and stepkids over their children from a previous relationship? She says, I've noticed that so many fathers abandon their children once they break up with their girlfriend or get divorced. I'm left wondering, why can't they simply be good dads? Why does being a good father have to mean having a woman attached? Then they'll often move on to prioritizing their new girlfriend or new wife, or become more concerned about their stepkid or new family they've created. Why can't they compartmentalize the relationship they have with the mother and simply help raise their own children? She says, I'm 34 and my dad acts like I don't exist. He did the same to my stepsister and brother and is only involved in 1 out of 4 of his children's lives. What is going on in their brain? because children are basically a tool of control for a woman to stay in that relationship with a man. A lot of times, these people do not want a family. They want the idea of a family because having a wife or a girlfriend stabilizes them. It gives them what they need as far as, the support, someone to cook, clean, do their laundry, all of the emotional support and unpaid and undervalued labor that comes with having a woman. But if there is no child involved, there's no anchor to that man. So if the woman, just ups and leaves, if there's no child, she could just up and leave quite quickly. However, if there is a child involved, you keep the woman just a little bit longer because the woman will think just a little bit more before just bouncing. So the baby, the child, is more like a tool or an anchor to keep all of the support that goes along with the relationship there. And once the relationship is gone, that tool is no longer necessary. Regardless, she says, I'm 34 and my dad acts like I don't exist. I hope that he ends up in the old man Mojo Dojo Casa house and that none of his children who have been neglected actually pays attention to him. I hope for all of these people involved that they give him as much love and support as he has given them during their childhood up till now. OG Bella Luna says, I think men are inherently selfish and they just continue to feed that through their lives until they have such tunnel vision. They can only see themselves and their own happiness. So everyone else involved is pretty much effed whenever they decide they aren't happy and want a newer model. They will never or very rarely take any time between wife appliances for introspection about what went wrong and work on themselves to avoid it in the future relationships. They simply bounce from one woman to another, wondering why none of their relationships work out, basically. And then the OP says, why do they avoid becoming better people at any cost? Because it hasn't cost them. They only see the consequences later. They can keep pushing that on down the line. They're not going to see these consequences until the children go no contact or until all of their relationship options fizzle out. They're not going to see this until they're old and have the time to introspect, like when they finally retire or when their peen doesn't work and they can't be out chasing women. That's the only time they'll have a chance to sit down and quietly reflect because nobody else is around them to actually call them. Cauliflower Living says, when men cheat, they perpetuate an idea of themselves to this new woman. This new woman does not know their dark and dirty crevices. The image of the man matters to him more than the man himself. There are many components to why they behave the way the OP described. They are largely narcissists who cling to out of sight, out of mind. Now, being a narcissist is about what and who serves them and their ego. Let's face it, a man has little to nothing to give in the first place, instead opting to give what they do have to themselves. The little that they've set aside to give anyone in their life must go to what or who is in front of them and serving them, what or who aids in glorifying his ego. Also, men always claim to be blindsided by divorce due to them being narcissists with their heads up their butts. Thus, they often harbor deep resentment for the women who became wise to their tricks and gimmicks. That's the reason why they don't like me, because I'm highlighting their gimmicks. I'm highlighting their tactics. So they report me for whatever. All right. She was supposed to stay his naive servant forever. More often than not, the child is punished along with the mother, the child that he never carried, bore, reared, and thought of as a chore at best, an accessory. So it's no difficult task to dispose of them. I'm sorry, OP, try to forget about him and don't let him take anything more from you than he already has. Exactly. No time, energy, no resources. Don't think about him. He should get the exact same treatment that he gave to you, which is nothing much. You guys can chime in on this part. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I am going to lighten the mood a little bit. This was a post in the BurbNBougie subreddit. She says, is there a difference between a hobosexual and a pest that wants to nest and rest? I thought that this was a mood lightener, so let's get into this. She says, hi, Burb and community. Longtime viewer, first time poster. My friend and I love your videos, and we were laughing our butts off at a few of your recent ones. We love your lexicon. I constantly use hysterical in real life now, and it got us wondering, is there a difference between hobosexuals and pests who wants to nest and rest? We got into a debate about it. I think hobosexual is more of this universal, systematic thing, but pest who wants to nest and rest is more of an individual, entitled man child. I don't feel romantic attraction easily or often, so I don't intentionally date. But good God, I've had many pests try to hone in because I have my own apartment and business. LOL, we need the originator of this term to end this debate. First of all, I did not create hobosexual. It was in the lexicon before me and going viral. I just happened to use it, and I have a big enough community, so I can't take credit for that. I did create the Pest Who Wants to Nest and Rest. Matter of fact, this is the perfect time to plug that I do have a book called Ashy Men Will Make You Fat, a petty self-help guide. In this book, I do have a glossary of some of the terms that I use. Now, I will say this, a lot of the terms that I use come organically, and I have added to our lexicon, our community lexicon, since writing this book. But you will find definitions in this book. So you can go check out my book at BurbNBougieShop.com. Now, let's get back to her question. So I believe that there are a lot of overlaps. The Venn diagram between a pest that wants to nest and rest and a hobosexual will overlap. A pest that wants to nest and rest is in the description. This is a person that is trying to get into your home, to take up your time, energy, and resources in your home. They're trying to suck off your, they're trying to get your soup. They're trying to get your Wi-Fi. But really, a homosexual, that is kind of a sexuality. They are just aiming for, what, as I'm talking this out, is literally the same thing. A hobosexual is attracted to you because you have a home and a couch and food. So it's literally the same thing. It's just that pest that wants to nest and rest actually kind of rhymes. So it's pretty much the same thing. And like I said, I am not the originator of any of the term hobosexual. So this is a synonym. That's what it is, a synonym. Like crunchy tea time, to me, they are the same. If you are okay with others here chiming in, good topic. The OP says, I'm cool with it. I definitely want the word of God on this one, as she sees it. I am not the word of God. I'm just silly, and some of the things that I say come to my head. Some of it is us talking in the community. I cannot take credit for all of these things. Yes, and White Lotus says hysterical, awesome word. We over here, some people like to use female related slurs or insults. We like to masculinize things. So it's not hysterical anymore, it's hysterical. It's not a tantrum, it's a mantrum. We also are now saying menopause. They're going through their menopause time or season. There are other things that we talk about, mangry, like a man who's angry. So I haven't put all of this into a book form yet, but look for that. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and just plug my book again. Ashley Men Will Make You Fat, a petty self-help guide. In this book, we're talking about health and wellness. We're talking about having balance in your relationships. We're talking about finances, family planning, all of that. You can find it at BurbNBougieShop.com. All right, y'all. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.